TheSmartLocal.com.
We will use the thermometer and then we rub it on the foolscap paper, right? So that it will heat up and see whose thermometer can reach like the high temperature first. Because like if I'm not wrong, it's above 43 degrees Celsius or something on your thermometer, it will just say HI.
When SARS happened, I think I was in P5.
I was in primary 3. I was in primary 2.
I was primary 4, so I was 10 years old.
If I remember correctly, it started from like the tail end of 2002 to 2003.
There was just this underlying atmosphere of things being tense.
In the news, they will always show like Tan Tock Seng Hospital. That's all I can remember, like a white tent, and then people with all the PPEs and masks in the news every day.
SARS is airborne, and because of that, it means that it can be transmitted through the air. So what my mum used to do, besides just closing the doors, she also locked the windows and bolted them, and she kept the keys so that we won't be able to open the windows. The first instance where I noticed something is off was when assemblies are very serious now. Okay, we have to line up and get our temperature taken. They passed each of us like this free white thermometers. Every morning you have to take it. Every afternoon after recess you have to take it. And then there's a chorus of like dee 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 dee.
One of the games we created, right, when we were playing, right, is that we will use the thermometer and then we rub it on the foolscap paper, right, so that it will heat up and see whose thermometer can reach like the high temperature first. Because like if I'm not wrong, it's above 43 degrees Celsius or something on your thermometer, it will just say HI.
Then one of my friends told me that during recess, if you just keep running around like the 4th story, then you take your temperature right after recess, right, you can be sent to the sick bay. So I did exactly that, but I had to stay there until 7 p.m. Everybody went home after the flag lowering ceremony except me, because I think they didn't want it to be contagious.
For the first time in my life, schools were forced to close. So I think 2 weeks later or something, they actually sent us like a really huge envelope containing worksheet. I don't know for how long you're supposed to do it, but I think it was the rest of the year kind of workload. I remember being really happy because I was like, oh my god, no school! Like they announced it on the TV, then I was in my pajamas, I was like, oh, really I got no school.
My birthday falls in the start of May, and that is usually when mid-year exams are. So as a 9-year-old kid, you can totally imagine yes! No exams!
That whole stay-home period was actually very chill to me, and it didn't feel like it was torturous lah. It's almost like a September school holiday-ish kind of vibe.
I was having the time of my life from 9 a.m. to maybe 11. Oh my god, it's like a marathon of Blue's Clues and Cat Dog and Sesame Street, which are my top 3.
I don't think any part of me registered the fact that we are going through a pandemic. I do remember going to my cousin's house, and every day we would just watch TV. So there was this Chinese drama called Wu Yan De Ai, but then the Yan is like the Fa Yan De Yan, which directly translates to infection. Then there was Fan Wong and Tay Ping Hui, and it was about the struggles of fighting SARS as a doctor and a nurse.
There's one thing that really sticks out during the SARS period is the rap, which is SARS is a virus that I just wanna minus. No more surprises. It's a brain, it's a brain, it's a brain.
Back then, I was just a kid, so I don't really care about what will happen. As long as I don't die, my parents don't die, everyone's safe and healthy.
I have transitioned into my working adult phase, and therefore the stakes are a lot more high. You worry about the same things as your parents used to when you were a kid, So things like, wow, which mask is better, how to actually protect someone else's health besides your own. Because if you come back sick, you're no longer just a sick kid. You come back sick, you're a sick adult that infects the rest of the adults in the house.
I was so scared to go out and hang out with my friends because I stay with my grandparents who are elderly and have pre-existing health conditions. I keep thinking to myself if I bring the virus back home and my grandparents catch it, just the thought of it freaks me out so much because I cannot live with that. I think life in 2003 was definitely a lot simpler. Print media was a big thing. The newspapers can only publish daily, so they will collate all the numbers from the day before and then publish the day after. With the internet, it allows us to access information almost instantly. It could be updated every hour, even to every few minutes, and that could make someone feel extremely anxious or terrified as well.
In the past, it was always my parents telling us better not do this, that. But then now you find that you have more active sources of news because you're online all the time. So you probably receive this news a lot sooner than their daily paper or their like 7 p.m. news. So you have to update them that, you know, from tomorrow onwards, you cannot even like go downstairs to throw rubbish without a mask. Yeah, because then that will be $300.
It's one thing to read about pandemic through like history textbooks, but when you actually like live through it, right, it's so real, and then you can attach like personal memories and experiences to everything, and then knowing people in your life who are a part of the statistic.
So I feel more uncertain because as a fresh grad entering this economy, right, it's very hard to get a good paying job. It's very risky, there might be retrenchment. So there are a lot of factors to worry about.
Physically, it's carefree lah because like, you know, you at home you don't have to wear a bra, you don't have to put makeup whatsoever. But mentally, you are a lot more burdened. I guess because like as an adult, there is an expectation for you to read the news, be kept informed. In that sense, it can be very suffocating.
To be honest, I don't mind like the circuit breaker. For me, it was more of a way to recharge, slow things down, and also to get my life balance in check.
In the past, when I had free time, I could just squander the free time recklessly. Like you don't even care because you know that your friends are not up to anything productive either. Because there's Facebook, there's LinkedIn and all these things, so that inevitably leads to a bit of flexing. Or whenever I see on Instagram that somebody has just completed a course on Coursera, I feel damn stressed. So I think this also exerts a lot of pressure on the rest of us to think like, should I start coding? Should I pick up data analytics?
Through these experiences, I feel that 90s kids are forced to adult a little bit faster than what we usually would. We are probably in the stage of life where it's either our first job or within like the first 5 years of our employment. And it can be really scary for you to experience a recession during that time because suddenly, like imagine you have the joy of getting your first job and then after that, you have it taken away from you within a year.
So I guess one of the things that having been through two like serious disease incidents, right, it makes you a little bit desensitized, but at the same time also, as a result of that, being a little bit less scared.
I wouldn't say this is a blessing, but it's kind of like blessing in disguise that, you know, in the future, if anything of this sort happen again, right, we'll be able to adapt to this quickly.
It's like, you know, you learn how to drive a car, right? From now on, whatever brand you encounter, right, you still can drive one. You don't need to worry so much.
I think it's interesting to think about like how much can happen and change in like a span of 20 years, right? So I've experienced both sides of emotions. Currently, the anxiety that forces me to work a little bit harder, but at the same time, like moments of freedom and happiness because it kind of makes me feel like I can still remain positive throughout this whole experience.